So many moms feel stuck and isolated, like they've got to keep it all together and can't say how hard it really is. On Let's Get Real, we talk about the real stuff, motherhood, mental health, and everything in between, so you don't feel like you have to carry it alone anymore. Because in order to heal, we have to get real. If you're feeling overwhelmed, grab the Overwhelmed Mom's Guide. It's totally free and made to help you feel like yourself again. The link is in the show notes. Let's pick up where we left off. Here's part 2. What a great way to prioritize those, because too often the biggest priority is their happiness. So then you'll sacrifice those other two, truly, like safety and happiness. Yeah. Oh, man. No. That's so good that you established that early on.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, again, I've mentioned 3 times that my kids are at university and I still have those conversations with them. But, as every mother should be having age appropriate conversations, or every parent, I should say, as up, I'm talking to them about bigger things now, like, making good decisions around using drugs, right? I said, your friends could be telling you that this is the most fun time, but why would you put your health at risk?
Right.
We've never put our health at risk to make ourselves happy. That's not how we function as a family. So, it's sort of like a framework that, it helps for kids to understand why you're making a decision. And when they feel that they're a part of the decision, it feels less like being imposed.
Right. And forced upon. Yeah. And then to have the it gives some guidance and the guardrails of like, this is where we're going, this is what really matters, and this is why we're doing this, which is so big, without even having to get into the nitty gritty of explaining it in like a couple paragraphs every single time. It's like, no, we've established these are the priorities. And when I can share, like, this is why, because your safety is more important than your happiness. Oh, okay. Like, I don't have to go into it much more than that, at that time
It's a framework that works really well. And again, it identifies that happiness is a priority. It is. But not over your health and safety. Never.
That is so good. Oh, yeah. What a good.
It works. It works well. And then eventually, hopefully, they take this on, their own mindset, right? That they learn to make good decisions, based on their health and their safety. But so I find if you can take a calm, emotionally regulated state and have a conversation with a child where you validate what they're saying, you give them an opportunity to communicate. If they're frustrated, that's fine. They can be frustrated. What they can't do is go and slam your door.
Yes.
So a behavior that is destructive or disrespectful, that's not tolerated. So what I tell my kids is, that's okay to be angry. I get angry too sometimes. Why don't you take some time in your room and calm down? It's not a punishment. I'm not taking you toys, but why don't you go and take a little time and calm down and think about why you're angry, and in an hour I'm happy to sit and listen.
I love that, because it's giving them the space to express it, and I think so often it's teaching them the healthy ways to get it out and not the unhealthy ways, which would be slamming the door, punching the wall, that destroy property or their toys or whatever it is, and they need the guidance. But we also, because I keep coming back to this myself as a parent, it's like, I can't possibly teach my kids that if I don't know how to do that for me. I can to an extent, but not consistently, and not like, I won't really get it. It will just be head knowledge. It's not like in my body where I'm actually practicing this too.
So is it okay if I ask you to share sort of a recent example of maybe a chaotic moment in your life recently? You're like, yesterday when I was cooking, dinner time seems to be the worst.
It is the worst. I mean, that's actually like prime example. Yes, because, it's like by the end of the day, first of all, okay, I do not like cooking. I've tried to force myself into it. It is not something I like, but I will do it. So that was yesterday. Last night, I went to start cooking, and my kids were still adjusting to school. So my son just started kindergarten. This is the first time where he's not taking naps, and we finished week 3. So we're headed into week 4. It's an adjustment. We're still not there. And he's exhausted by the end of the day. And so is my daughter, because she's not pre-K with him at school. So anyways, I'm like cooking up a few things, and my daughter's like, can I cook with you? And at first I said, no. It's like, no. literally your response, like the example you gave with the cookie is like, wait, I did that last night.
Said why? And you said so?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I literally, because she's like, I just said no. And then she's like, Mom, and she starts crying. And then I'm like, okay, I feel bad. And that's part of this pleaser, right? Like in me. And I'm like, okay, then I go back on it. I'm like, hey, you can help me cook. I don't want you, just don't burn yourself. Don't touch the pan.
Can we freeze here for a moment? Yes. I don't want to break your flow. We're going to go back to the rest of it. But can you share with me why your initial instinct was?
It was no. I could feel the frustration and like, it's a task I don't like and I just want to get it done. And like, I don't want to deal with the excess of her possibly burning her hand or because we were making pasta or like spilling the pasta sauce and it's more of a mess I have to clean up when I'm so tired already, you know?
Fair. So, how do you think your girl felt when, Mommy, can I spend some time with you? No.
I know. Oh, and what you just said, I didn't even perceive it as her wanting to spend time, and it's her attempt probably to connect with me.
100%. So making dinner, I get to spend time with Mommy. I'm going to join alongside and do the thing that she's doing. So, but she doesn't even want me there.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So,
and honestly, part of it is like, I don't want her in the kitchen with me. I would rather connect with her playing a board game or coloring, like not.
Why?
Because it's also enjoyable for myself where I think because with cooking and that task, like I already feel stressed about it. And so adding I don't feel very competent either. I'm like, I don't really know, like this isn't fun and enjoyable. And I would prefer to do something that's enjoyable for both of us.
So one way that the next time she comes in, because she'll repeat it again. The next time she comes in and she says, Mommy, can I cook with you? Instead of just no, you could say to her, I love spending time with you. But when I'm in the kitchen, I don't think you're ready to be in the kitchen. The pot is, hot. I'm afraid you're going to get burnt. So take care of this. And you and I could spend time together on something that's much more fun for the two of us, like a board game.
Yes, that's a lot better.
That will make her feel like, okay, because really all she wanted was to spend time with you.
Yes, which I couldn't see in that moment at all because I'm so preoccupied with what I'm like the task at hand and what I have to do. So like I missed her. Yeah.
Of course, you missed the cue of her reaching out. Now, here's the beautiful thing is, this was just yesterday. Even if it was last week or last month, you could go to her after school and say, I was thinking about yesterday and how you wanted to spend time together when we were in the kitchen. No, I feel really bad. What I should have said was, I'm worried that you're going to get burnt when you're in the kitchen. Like, I'm worried about your safety. I'd much rather spend time, doing something else. Maybe we'll do a puzzle after dinner.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. And I love the hope in what you just shared because it's the reminder of the power of the repair that is possible after something like that. Because I feel like there's this pressure to just feel like I have to be perfect. I can't mess up or else I'm really going to mess up my kids when that's an impossible expectation. And so it's like, how do I navigate being an imperfect human where whether it's intentional or not, like I am going to hurt my kids, unfortunately.
Yeah, we all do.
And so it's like, how do I go about resolving that or helping where it doesn't sever the relationship?
So first, the important thing to recognize is that perfectionism is tied to the unworthy wounds, right? I'm not good enough, right? You have to you have to earn your love, right? So you just being there is not good enough.
Dang, that is so good. I'm so glad you said that.
Now, I'm also going to share with you a story. It's a personal story because I also felt a great deal of I have to be perfect when my kids were younger. And as they got older, just last year, I had a really interesting conversation with my firstborn, who's now 21. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying to him, what type of mom did you see me as? like, you were a good mom, but you were really busy. And I was like, yeah, I know I had a lot going on. He's like, no, I mean, busy in the sense that like, you were always just doing too much. You didn't have to do all of that. And I was like, tell me more. Like, what do you mean I was doing too much? He goes, you remember when my birthday would roll around and you would bake a 3-layer cake and with a theme, and it would take you like 2 or 3 days to do it? He's like, you could have just gone to the store and gotten cupcakes. It would have meant the same thing to me.
Wow.
And I was like, so in my mind, I would had to bake the big, beautiful, perfect cake that took up days of my time, right? Because that's what a mother was doing, but it didn't mean anything to my child.
Right. And it's almost in a way doing it to prove something, to prove like I am a good mom or I am worthy of X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
Yeah. But it didn't help him feel more loved.
That's such a good point.
Right. So, I remember crying when I heard that, and I was like, thank you for telling me that. I did not have that insight at that time. He's like, yeah, you could have just sat down and hung, but you were busy, had a big project or a big something. He's right. I was always doing something, again, along those lines of perfectionism.
Yes. And it gets us feeding performance. And then like, it's all the focus is on doing and how much am I doing? And if I can do more, what does that say about my value and my worth? Yeah. And then what happens, because this is what I perpetually catch myself in, is I get so spun up and caught up in this where it's feeding the never enough. Like I'm never doing enough. And then I miss their hearts. Like, and then I'm not able to physically be present. I'm not able to engage with them. If I'm sitting on the couch while they're watching a movie, my head goes into a million of the things that I need to do or feel pressure and the shoulds. Like I should be doing X, Y, and Z because I'm not able to stay rooted and come back to like staying secure with who I am. You know what I mean? All of that. So it just feeds itself.
Yeah. So if there's one thing I hope your audience takes away from this conversation is that there's one word in the English language that I believe should be banned. I don't use it. And the word is should.
I love that. Yeah.
So should is just, it's mirrored in guilt and shame and right. Yeah. I should lose 10 pounds. I should go to the gym. I should drink 2 bottles of water a day. I should, whatever it is. We all should be doing so many things. And it's really just, we're guilting ourselves. Right. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something, Jenna. You were pretty good in school.
I was like in high school partially, but I really like flourished in college and then grad school. That's where I was like, oh wow. I realized I was like, I am smart. I didn't really know I was, like I can do this. I learned how to study. So it wasn't until later, but.
The reason I ask is because this perfectionism thing we see very often with children who grew up in a home where they were praised for their achievements, their accomplishments. So what they did or for, value that they brought to the family, right? Could have been an image thing.
Yes.
Right? So, sometimes like daughters are praised for how good they look or how well they do in school or these types of things. And so we then we will start equating our value to these things, which means that, again, it's a question of to earn your love. So, I was very good in school. I had to, in my mind, do perfectly well in school because that's how I was recognized. That's how the only way I really got any level of attention and praise from, for example, my father, because that was important to him. What was important to my mother is my outward appearance, how I looked. If my hair was styled properly, if my makeup was done right. And so, we focus on all these things that really are important, but because it's the way in which we've learned that we can earn love.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Gosh, it's so good. And it's so subconscious. Because thinking, even though like I didn't really realize, with schooling for me, it wasn't until later. However, I did succeed as a competitive gymnast from a very young age. So yeah, that's like, and the oldest child.
I was like, there's something there.
Yeah, exactly.
What she was from a young age. That's why I asked school. I was trying to find it. So I could tell that you learned from a very young age that perfection was going to get you love and attention.
Yes. And it was part of trying, exactly, hugely. And then it was also part of trying to resolve the shame I felt. So yes, trying to earn and be like, hey, if I show up, if I do everything well and right, then yes, I have a better chance of receiving the love that I desperately need. And then also feeling shame for a variety of reasons, but like taking on other people's shame and being like, oh, if only I perform and am perfect enough, then I won't feel as much of that. And yeah, so I am curious, as like we're talking about that and kind of how that feeds this, the anxious and the people pleaser, what does it look like as I've mentioned, I'm in recovery for a lot of these things, and in learning to cultivate safety within my relationship with my husband. I'm learning how to do that with my kids. Clearly, I have a lot of work to do with my kids, but and with my other relationships. So can you paint the picture of what this looks like? Because I think what's so encouraging is that just because we learn these patterns at such a young age, it doesn't mean we have to stay stuck in them. Like we can break out and learn new patterns and learn new ways of coping and actually cultivate and create a secure attachment and create safety. So what does that look like with people you've worked with, and just kind of practically as we learn to do that in relationship?
Yeah, question. So, attachment styles is learned behavior, right? So like you just said, it can be unlearned and relearned. And the mind is incredibly plastic, meaning we can create more neural pathways, just like in the rest of the body. If I decide I want to build more muscle mass, I can do that over time, right? Yeah. Now, it does require, like every other change that we want to make to the body, it requires a level of commitment, a level of work, and where I usually start with my clients is we go, okay, tell me about something that's happened in the last day, week, something in recent memory that really aggravated you, or something happened and it carried a really strong charge, right? And clients will tell me all sorts of things. I was driving down the freeway and someone cut me off and I flipped them the bird, like whatever it is, or I got into an argument. The reason I want to know is because yes, I understand that all of these things are coming from childhood. We all have that. But what is playing in your life today? What's really using up all of your emotional energy today? So if you find that you're getting really aggravated, when you're driving, or you notice that every time you have to get into the car at 4:00 to go pick up the kids, your anxiety level rises. Or, every time it's time to go into bed, it's like you might have to have a talk with your husband or something like that, and you feel anxious. These are cues. Okay. So pay attention. When you pick up the phone to your girlfriend, what are the 3 things that you're telling her? Because what we complain about is really what's triggering us in the moment. Find the patterns. Find the patterns of the 3 things that you are... 3 is like a starting point. So for the person, for example, who is finding that they're flipping off someone while driving on the highway, usually if we dig a little bit, we'll see that, okay, this person has a core wound and they feel disrespected.
Okay.
Now we can work on that. And once we can figure out what your core wounds are, we can do exercises to be able to negate some of the thought patterns around these core wounds so that you can create new, healthier patterns. Right? And the idea is to connect you back to your emotions so that you learn how to identify them, honor them, communicate them, and learn how to receive other people's emotions when they communicate to you in a healthy way. And again, not to be mistaken with, well, you can't just give your kid everything they want. That's not what I'm saying at all, right? But able to communicate, because when you regulate yourself as a parent and you learn to communicate in a calm, healthy way, you are teaching them. So their future ability to connect in a healthy way with their romantic partners is highly dependent on what be in the home at this age.
Okay. Yes. And let's say, just thinking about like, if there is this conversation happening between you and your spouse and it's starting to get heated, what could that look like to be like, hey, I need to step away and regulate myself, what I'm feeling. Like I'm flooded. I can't think right. I'm feeling really angry. I'm about to say really hurtful things that I know I will regret later. So, because I'm thinking of just like off the top of my head, like, okay, it could be saying like I need to pause this conversation, feeling overwhelmed. We'll come back in a little bit or whatever. And like in that time, what could that look like to help bring ourselves down and de-escalate, to process or, you know what I mean? Like, what could that look like?
Such great questions. So good. So first, yes, if you find that the two of you are just at a place where you're both emotionally heightened, you're likely not going to have a great productive conversation. You're going to be like, these are my needs. You're not going to be listening to each other.
Yes.
It's just not a great dynamic. So timing's everything. So if you start and you go, you know what, we're going in circles, we're not helping the situation. Let's take a day. Let's take an hour, whatever you feel. The best to calm yourself down is through somatic therapy, right? So this is releasing energy through your body. So all sorts of things, right? Or walk, listen to a podcast, dance in your living room. I take dance classes 4 times a week. It's on my schedule.
That is awesome.
Because you know what, when I get into a dance class, and it's expressive, it's communicative, but it releases all of this energy that is stored in your body, right? That emotional energy is stored, and without a doubt, you feel better after dance, or you feel better after a walk or a run, or you pick up the phone and you call a friend, but not for an hour, maybe 20 minutes. You take the dog for a walk. Physical exercise is incredibly useful. If not physical exercise, then something else that you enjoy, right? So a podcast, music, go for a drive, something like that. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to switch into your nervous system mode, right? Nervous system has 2 different modes, right? So your sympathetic nervous system mode is your fight or flight. So to use the example, if the two of you are sort of and you realize, okay, this isn't working, you're both in your So, and when you're in fight or flight, all of our ability to be rational is really limited.
Yes.
Right. Because you're like fighting the threat, right? You're the perceived threat. So what you want to do is you want to transition your body back to the parasympathetic nervous system mode, which is your rest and digest. This is your calm state. And so once you sort of get good at understanding, okay, when I'm in my fight or flight, this is how I feel. And your body will give you signals, and it might be different for you than it is for me, but I can tell very quickly when I'm escalated, when I'm in one nervous system mode or the other. You could just say, you know what, I'm already feeling heightened. I'm already feeling emotional. Let's take a little bit of a break here. And I think that that's one of the things that I know, unfortunately, we don't teach kids, that they do nervous system modes, right? But that's another wonderful thing that you can teach your kids also. Like to men, I work a lot with men as well. Like I'll say to them, if you're feeling really frustrated or angry, and you feel like you want to punch a wall, because I don't know that I see that often, go do 20 push-ups, push it out. It's actually energy that needs to pass through your body. Right?
That is so good. It's underestimated. The need for that and how powerful it is.
100%. And some people will say, okay, you need to meditate. But when you're really frustrated, you don't want to just sit there and meditate. Meditation's not for everyone.
And you need to I feel this, I need to physically move. I am. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Those are really helpful examples because it's taken a while to pay attention to my body, to pay attention, because for many different reasons we can disconnect from our bodies. We have these thoughts and a lot of times from our emotions, but we don't realize how connected it is and how often our bodies will signal to us far before our brains and our being able to have the language for it. It's for me, I know I get a really tight chest. I feel hot. And so that is so good and super practical.
And so, you know what, now that you've identified, okay, the chest and I feel hot, when I feel my stress response coming on board, I honor her. I go, oh, I know what you're trying to tell me. Right?
Yes.
All right, got it. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to end the conversation. I'm going to, and I don't put myself into this overly stressful. There's a way, most of the time, there is a way to be able to manage your level of stress. Right? Sometimes there's just too much coming at you at once.
Yes.
Especially in early parenthood. But most of the time you say, you know what, this conversation really is important to me, but can we tackle it later on? Because right now my focus has to be elsewhere.
Yes. So it's really helpful to have these lines that you can come back to when your rational brain cannot think of it. And you're like, okay, this is a simple sentence I can say that's a cue, to give the space and time away. So I really love that. And
especially if, I know we spent the whole time talking about the anxious preoccupied, which is totally fine. And we didn't even talk about the dismissive avoidant, but the anxious preoccupied is another very interesting characteristic about its style. And that's their relationship to boundaries. So for someone who has the anxious preoccupied style, they really struggle with boundaries. So, they really, I've met quite a few people who didn't really understand what boundaries were, didn't know how to apply them in any way to their life, and also really struggled to respect other people's boundaries.
Yes.
So, I've had friends that were anxious preoccupied that, but if they called me and I didn't pick up the phone because I was doing something else, they would just show up. I didn't pick up I didn't pick up the phone because I was busy, right? That's not an invitation to just come over.
Yeah.
Right? I just thought, well, I saw your car in the driveway. Okay, but that doesn't mean that I can sit and have a conversation now, right? So I've seen this over. And so, learning to understand your body, boundaries, because boundaries are really, really important to keep you healthy in so many different ways, but emotionally healthy. When you finally learn that you have to say yes to everything, right? The people pleasing.
Yes.
That you realize that you can only be the best mother you can be if you feel healthy and, yourself feel energized and well rested. And if you take on too much and you're focused to everyone else, you're really not doing anyone, a great service, especially not your kids.
Oh, it's so true. And I love that you brought this part into it because, and I'm really glad, honestly, that we got to go deeper on this type of attachment because, maybe it's an invitation that we could do another podcast episode on the avoidant part and go deeper into that. But I love this because for me, especially since this is my primary, this is my attachment style, it's helped so much to make more connections. And like you said, with the boundaries part, because as soon as you said it, I'm like, yes, and yes. This has been a huge area that I've been trying to grow in and trying to learn to set boundaries, what that looks like and not feel guilty about it or any of that stuff. And how that is tied to the people pleasing, this anxious attachment. I just love that you've been bringing so many of these pieces together because for me, it's made so much more sense. You're speaking my language. You're helping me understand the way I operate and what I can do about that, really.
So we started the podcast said, what brought you into attachment styles? And again, my origin story, it's because I grew up with a fearful avoidant attachment style, which is part anxious and part avoidant. And when I started to understand this stuff, I couldn't believe how my attachment style was coloring almost every aspect of my life, right? Like we talk about how we form communication, how we form relationships and our communication and boundaries and affording trust. And it plays out in ways that most people don't even realize. Like, for example, it plays out for people who are anxious, preoccupied. It usually plays out like in the types of careers that they seek. So we often see folks who are anxious, preoccupied in professions where they are surrounded by people all day long, like teachers. Because they just love being around people all the time. It's almost like being alone for someone who's truly anxious, preoccupied, feels like a form of torture.
Being alone feels like a form of torture. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm.
Like being left alone. And then when you talk about romantic relationships, what we commonly see, not for everyone, but we commonly see monkey branching, right? They go from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next, because they just can't be alone. So that's another common thing.
Wow. That is so good. And it's interesting to see it play out in the tendencies of what people would gravitate towards with certain professions, and because of trying to get those needs met in these indirect ways before realizing it or learning how to deal with it or any of that. That's fascinating.
Yeah. And because they never really learned how to say no, or that they had the ability, or that their no would be respected in childhood, you know, they have a very hard time saying no in adulthood. And this is where, you know, we see that people get themselves into trouble. Like if we talk about even sex for a moment, like those who are anxious, preoccupied are often far more compliant as a sexual partner because they haven't learned boundaries and how to say no. So it plays out in so many, you know, areas of life.
Yes.
The last thing I'll say about this too is that this particular cohort of people, unfortunately, because they do often feel emotionally dysregulated and have not built the toolkit to emotionally regulate, they are ripe for addictions. So we do see a large cohort of people who use all sorts of things to try to dampen the emotions, because anxious, preoccupied people tend to be overwhelmed by their emotions. They feel them very big. And so they'll use all sorts of, usually substances to try to dampen the emotions, right? So alcohol, drugs, you know, shopping, sex addiction is another one in this group. So again, it's very impactful to an individual when you don't learn that you can honor your needs and say no and have boundaries. The ripple effects go, you know, all throughout your life in how you interact with others.
Yes. And these examples are so huge to see that it's not like it's categorized where, it's only tainting and affecting this one part of my life. No, it's in every area that we bring this to. And especially as at the core of how we're wired as humans and our need for relationship, like we are relational beings.
Yes.
Then this completely affects that. Like, and so to be able to acknowledge this and to not like dismiss or minimize, but realize like if we can work on creating healthier patterns and creating these secure attachments and healing these wounds within ourselves, it will have a hugely positive effect on all areas of our life and in our relationships. So I am so glad that you're able to speak on this today and share like the depths of attachment theory and attachment styles, because I shared this before, but like I know a general overview, but to really get into the nitty gritty and the depths of it is so helpful to see how this plays out in other areas of our life. Yeah. So as we are coming to a close, Bev, I would love if you could just share where people could find you to learn more and even possibly work with you. That would be great.
Thank you. So my company is called 𝓕𝓻𝓮𝓮.com. We're a collective of certified relationship and attachment trauma practitioners. So it's not just me. I have a group of people that I work with. And we all have, subspecialties. I tend to work with women who are mid-age, and then I have another one who works, with people recovering from, let's say, codependence or addictions. So we have subspecialties. We are on YouTube. I'm actually trying to grow the YouTube channel.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm trying to figure out the algorithm, the channel, but Securely Loved.
Okay.
And we're also on Instagram at securely_loved. So I would be happy to do a second episode with you to talk more about the avoidance.
Yes, I would love that.
Yeah, and thank you so much. Your audience found this, helpful.
Oh, absolutely. I really love just getting to have this conversation with you and how you bring your professional background and expertise and lived experiences. I really love the questions that you asked too, because it just gets into how this plays out in real life. But yeah, without a doubt. And yes, I would love to do a second episode.
Okay, great. Let's make it happen.
That would be great. Well,
I hope the questions too that I asked made you realize that we so often as humans, we feel like our experiences, like we're alone, right? Like no one else experienced this, but these human behaviors are so common, right? That it's like, you're alone.
Exactly. You're not alone, and there's hope. That's, I feel like for sure, that first part of the reminder, it's not just me as one person in 7 billion, problem. It's no, I am very much not alone in, these struggles, and there is hope to bring healing and learn a healthy way of relating with myself and other people. It's just very encouraging. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for the people who are going to listen to this episode. I'm very excited for them. I know it's going to help so many people that will listen to this. And so for anyone that is listening, I just want to encourage you to please share this with another person who needs the reminder that her healing matters too, and that she isn't alone. Well, thank you so much, friend. I loved getting to talk with you. And for those listeners, I cannot wait to talk with you next time.
Thanks for listening to Let's Get Real. If you've been feeling stretched thin, stuck in survival mode, or like you've lost yourself in motherhood, I made something just for you. It's called the Overwhelmed Mom's Guide, and it's totally free. Inside, I walk you through simple steps to help you reconnect with who you are, find a bit more breathing room in your day, and start to feel like you again. You can grab it now. Just click the link in the show notes. You don't have to keep doing this alone. Let's take the next step together.